of medical staff. The situation is really critical for these patients, and we are very worried about the future. The last 24 hours have been even more scaring for everybody because of the fightings really close, the warning to evacuate the refugees and the displaced people inside. And the situation is getting worse and worse inside. The medical staff don't know what to do, and that's really a big issue for our staff, but for all the medical staff inside.
Israeli forces have demolished the home of a Palestinian activist in occupied East Jerusalem. The property is in the Silwan district. Fakhri Abu Diab is an activist who's campaigned against illegal Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank. Israeli soldiers raided the house and ordered the family and journalists to leave. Our colleague Rory Challens was live on air reporting on that demolition when Israeli soldiers forced him to leave the site. Here's now is Rory with the latest.
For the last few hours, I've been watching a man's family home being turned into twisted rebar and rubble. That's what's going on down there on the grounds. That jackhammer on the end of the arm of the digger is ripping apart the home of Fakhri Abu Diab. Now, he is an activist who campaigns against exactly this sort of thing, exactly what's happening to his home right now. He works in this neighborhood, which is called Al-Bustan. It's in the Silwan parts of occupied East Jerusalem. And many houses in this area are being earmarked for demolition, just like this one. And that's because the Israeli government says that they don't have the right permits for their existence. But the ultimate goal that they would like to see happen is for a religiously themed theme park to be put in place of many of these houses down here. The Israeli security didn't want us filming this. We were in that house just a few hours ago. Then they came in some force with guns and dogs, and they pulled everyone out, including us, and pushed us down the road. We managed to find this position where we could watch what's going on. They've tolerated us being here for the moment. But this is something that has been going on with an accelerated pace since the war broke out in Gaza on October the 7th. Many people, campaigners, etc., who are acting for Palestinians who are subjected to this sort of thing, say that the Israeli government is using the war as a kind of shield to push through many more repossessions, many more demolitions, and many more settler plans. Rory Challens, Aljazeera in occupied East Jerusalem.
At least one Israeli soldier has been killed and 8 have been injured after rockets were fired from Lebanon. They targeted troops in the city of Safad. Earlier, the Israeli army said it bombed Hezbollah positions overnight. For more, we're going to speak to Zaina Khader in Beirut. Zaina, tell us more about this attack.
Well, it is a new escalation. There have been sporadic escalations along this border in the past 4 months. Hezbollah is being blamed for firing rockets at Israeli military positions in Safad. Now, that is a city in northern Israel, some 15 kilometers from the border. So this is an attack deeper inside Israel. It's not the first time the area has been hit, but it is rare for Hezbollah to target that deep, which means Hezbollah is, sending a message. Now, Hezbollah has still not claimed responsibility for this attack, which is also quite unusual, because the group usually issue a statement just, minutes after it launches a military operation very close to the border. Now, what is the message? It is one of deterrence, because as of late, in recent days, the Israeli army really has stepped up its airstrikes. It has also stepped up its targeted assassinations, going after Hezbollah officials, Palestinian officials. In 5 days, there were 3 attacks of its kind. So Hezbollah is saying, we too can hurt you. And they also use precision-guided missiles, which is also a message in itself. We are able to hit anywhere we want. But still, this is still within the rules of engagement of this conflict. Military targets. Hezbollah still treading carefully, very defiant. The secretary of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, yesterday in his speech, he showed defiance, but it was clear that Hezbollah has no interest in a full-blown war. But now the Israeli War Cabinet is meeting to discuss its response to what it is calling a violent bombing by Hezbollah. What will that response be? Israeli media says it could be, significant strikes against Hezbollah targets, multiple Hezbollah targets, but will the response be still within the rules of engagement?
Zena, thank you very much indeed. Zena Carter in Beirut. Videos emerged of a crowd in northern Gaza trying to save a young boy's life after he and his cousin were shot by Israeli soldiers. Aljazeera spoke to the victim's parents to find out what happened on that day in December. Michael Apple has more.
This was Imad, smiling, happy, alive. The last good memories his parents have of their son, who was 3.5 years old. He was in the arms of his 20-year-old cousin Hadil, a medical student at university, when they were gunned down. Their last moments are captured in this video. But there was a third person with them that day.
I went to buy some clementines with Hadil and Imad, and we came under fire. We hid at our neighbor's house and stayed there for an hour. Once the shooting stopped, we left the house. Hadil handed me the bag of clementines, and she carried Imad in her arms. Then we came under fire again. I managed to run away, but Hadil was shot and killed immediately. Imad was still alive.
Neighbors, using the buildings as cover from sniper fire, do what they can. The dust being kicked up as the bullets continue to fly.
People noticed he was still alive and tried to rescue him. They held out a stick for him to grab onto, but he did not respond. He was looking at his cousin and refused to leave her alone. He then started moving a reach for the stick, so they shot and killed him.
2 months since the shooting, and a makeshift market in Sheikh Radwan in northern Gaza is busy. Children no older than Imad walk the streets.
What makes this worse and more painful for us as Hadil's parents and Imad's mother is this unfolded before our eyes without us being able to say goodbye to our children. Hadil's mother was unable to give her one last kiss. The neighbors took their bodies and buried them while the shooting was still ongoing. We couldn't say goodbye to our children.
Harun walks to the cemetery where they were hastily buried. It used to be the neighborhood football pitch. There's no tombstone for them, but he's determined that their names will be known and never forgotten. Mike Lappel, Al Jazeera.